Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking. And today I'm going to title the episode Was a U.S. Pilot Told to Shoot Down a Massive UFO? So, an American pilot was flying out of an English base, Air Force base, at the height of the Cold War. And so his radar lit up with this huge image and this is according to the British National Archive of military records. It was a 1,500-page report, and it dealt with all kinds of interesting sightings, UFO-type sightings that had happened in the 50s and in the 60s, and I think it actually went into the 70s. So it was 1,500 pages of all kinds of really interesting stuff, and I just want to talk about one of those interesting events. So, anyways, this pilot was ordered to fire a full volley of rockets at this UFO that was moving erratically over the North Sea. Okay, and it was picking up enormous speed, and and finally it did disappear momentarily. So this was reported about 20 years ago. Okay, so this unknown pilot said himself and another airman were scrambled on May 20th, 1957, to intercept an unusual object that came up on the radars at the Royal Air Force Station in Manston, which is an airfield that is southeast of in England, 75 miles from London. Okay, so the flying object that they saw was flying and erratically and doing all kinds of very unusual patterns of flight. And initially, they were suggested that what was very unusual about it would move at these tremendous speeds and then suddenly would become motionless. It would just sit there for 5 to 10 minutes. And that was very disturbing because they didn't know anything that could possibly do all these different things it was doing. Okay? So they were ordered to fly, and it happened to be a cloudy day, and they were ordered to fly at the highest speed they could into the clouds towards this object. And they were given the order to fire a volley of 25 rockets, or missiles, I guess we'll say. It wasn't really rockets, but missiles, at this mysterious object. And the guy said, the airman said, he was trying to be very candid. He said, I almost shit my pants asking for confirmation of what he had heard on the radio. So this retired airman, and his name is Milton Torres, told Sky News, which is a news group out of England, that he, for the last 50 years or so, okay, since 1957, he's been trying to figure out what the truth was about this event that he had taken part in. Okay, he said, with his naked eyes, he watched in awe as it appeared on his radar and then sped off at these amazing speeds. All of a sudden, as it was coming in, I decided to take off and leave it behind because to him, it was just overwhelmingly too frightening. He said it was the size of an aircraft carrier, and it was a flying aircraft carrier moving at astronomical speeds. He estimated it was probably 3 times the speed that he could go, and I think it was 550 miles an hour, whatever type of jet, and they didn't mention what type of jet he was flying, that he could fly, and it really seemed like this one was going at least 3 times as fast, or whatever it was in the sky. So it was so fast, it was so incredible, it was absolutely death-defying, in his own words. So he said that this thing is so big that nobody in the area could have possibly missed it. Okay, we couldn't miss it on the radar. You couldn't miss it visually. It was just so damn big. I guess he said the blip on the radar was so big it would like almost burn a hole. It just felt like it was burning a hole in the radar itself. And he said that it was a very similar blip as a B-52, which size-wise that wouldn't match up, because he said visually it looked a lot bigger when he looked at it out the cockpit window. Anyways, again, he said it was an aircraft. It's the size of an aircraft carrier. So as he closed in the object, he was ready to fire, and suddenly and wildly the object just faded away. The target was gone, and he said the mission was called off, and he said he was really happy that it was, because there was no way. Well, he said he felt he could shoot at it, but he said he didn't have no idea what was going to happen if he did actually shoot at it. So anyways, so when he got back to base, interesting was there was a man there, a man, he said, that was there. His officers led him to this room. There was a man in civilian clothing, and he said, this is considered highly classified, and you are not to ever discuss this ever. And then that guy just pretty much disappeared, and that was it. He never heard too much about it. Now, the other airman that was with him, interesting enough, he had a little different account. This was an airman. I think it was a two-seater deal. I think the pilot, and then there was somebody in the back. He said it was slightly different. He said there were several of these large objects, not just one. There were several of them, and nobody actually talked to him or told him to be quiet about it, and which he thought was quite odd. But I have to tell you, I've talked to many pilots in the past that have seen UFOs, and many times the co-pilot will have a completely different story from the pilot. And like I said, I've interviewed quite a few of them, and it's very strange. I don't know what it is. It's maybe something with the UFOs, what goes on during that type of experience. I don't know. I really, really don't know. Anyways, so he thought it was an extremely exciting narrative, or what happened to him. The second pilot didn't think it was. He said, but one of the things they're both absolutely sure what they saw was absolutely true. Anyways, so with all that said, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.